Hi, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Fluent English Podcast, where we learn and practice English together.
We're here again to take some pretty complex research and, well, turn it into practical knowledge you can use right away.
Yeah, and today we're tackling something I think almost every single English learner has felt. You know that moment?
Oh, I know it.
You've got the vocabulary, you understand maybe, I don't know, 90% of a podcast or a news show,
Mm-hmm.
but then a real person appears. The server comes over, you meet someone new at an event, you try to explain how you're really feeling.
Poof, it's gone. Your English just evaporates.
Exactly, your mouth just sort of freezes up.
Right, that gap, that terrifying space between knowing the words passively and actually using them confidently right then and there, that's what we want to bridge today.
Precisely. We've gone through some really fascinating source material, scientific studies, practical guides, all pointing towards one technique that seems incredibly powerful for turning that theoretical knowledge into, well, automatic fluent speech.
Okay, so our mission today isn't just giving vague advice like practice more.
No, definitely not. We want to give you, the listener, a roadmap based on actual evidence, something with data behind it. The goal is to build that muscle memory for speaking English confidently, naturally.
And we're focusing specifically on this technique called shadowing.
That's the one. We'll unpack what it is, why the science says it works so well, and then crucially, how you can apply the fluency you gain from it to those situations that make people nervous. Ordering food, making introductions,
Getting past that freeze.
getting past the freeze. We've got some really compelling data from a quasi-experimental study that honestly changes how we should think about fluency training.
Okay, I'm intrigued. Let's start there. Lay the foundation.
All right, so speaking fluently, where the words just flow without you consciously translating every single thing in your head. It's not magic. It's a skill.
A learned skill.
Absolutely. It's built on something called automatization. And the core technique to build that skill is this thing called shadowing, or sometimes echoing.
Okay, explain the basics. What is it?
At its heart, it's surprisingly simple, but powerful. It forces this connection between three key things: your ears, your mouth, and your brain.
How?
Basically, it's imitation. You listen to someone speaking, ideally a native speaker or maybe an expert speaker whose voice you like, and you repeat what they say immediately, almost at the same time.
Like a shadow following them.
Exactly. You become their linguistic shadow. And what this does is it kind of bypasses the part of your brain that wants to stop and analyze everything. It forces you into continuous speech production.
So you're not pausing, thinking about grammar rules, finding the perfect word.
Not in that moment, no. It's listen, process, produce. Listen, process, produce. A continuous loop. That simultaneity is the key.
And it helps with more than just vocabulary, right?
Way more. That's the beauty of it. While you might start by just trying to get the words out, doing it consistently, unconsciously improves so much else. Your pronunciation, the rhythm of your speech, where you put the stress.
Intonate.
Intonation, definitely. How words link together in fast speech, which is huge for sounding natural. It even helps you internalize grammar patterns without ever thinking about a rule book.
Okay, so how do you actually do it? Are there different ways?
Yeah, the sources point to two main styles, which are flexible depending on, what you want to achieve or where you are.
Okay.
First is simultaneous echoing. This is real-time shadowing. You just play the audio and start repeating right away, trying to keep up with the speaker's flow without pausing the audio.
Sounds intense.
It can be, but it's fantastic for building that automaticity, that rhythm. If you're, say, walking or on the bus and you just want to practice the flow of speech, this is great. It trains your mouth and brain to handle the speed.
All right, what's the second style?
The second one is pause and repeat. This is more like a deep dive. You listen to a smaller chunk, maybe just one sentence or even a phrase, then you pause the audio.
Okay.
Then you repeat it, really focusing on the details. How did they pronounce that vowel? What was the melody of that question? How did they connect those words?
So more analytical.
Exactly. Perfect if you're sitting down, maybe you even have the text in front of you. You can really dissect the speech.
But you mentioned something important. It's not just mimicking like a parrot, right?
Absolutely crucial point. The sources really stress this. You need intention. Just repeating sounds mindlessly doesn't give you the full benefit.
So what does that mean, practically?
Before you hit play, you decide what you're focusing on for this session. Is it the sound? Is it how they link words ending in consonants to words starting with vowels? Is it the rising intonation at the end of a question?
Got it. So you pick one specific thing to listen for and imitate.
Right. That deliberate focus turns it from just making noise into proper neurological training. It tells your brain what to pay attention to and replicate.
Okay, let's talk about choosing who to shadow. The advice is often pick someone you like, maybe an actor like Jude Law if you like a British accent. But what if you pick someone with a really strong regional accent? Could that cause problems later if you want a more, say, general international sound?
That's a really smart question. And yeah, it's a valid concern.
Yeah.
But I think the key here is utility and clarity first, not dialect perfection at the start.
Okay.
If you choose an actor because their pacing is clear, their enunciation is good, and maybe their emotional delivery helps you engage, that's probably more important than worrying too much about picking up a specific regional flair right away.
So focus on clarity first.
Yes. The main goal initially is internalizing the rhythm, the flow, the automatic connection between listening and speaking. As long as your model speaks clearly, you'll get that benefit. You can always refine the accent details later once the basic fluency mechanism is in place. Get the engine running smoothly first, then worry about the paint job.
That makes sense. Okay, so for listeners wanting to optimize this, what are some practical tips?
Right, actionable stuff.
Hmm.
First, don't be afraid to slow it down. If the audio feels too fast, which it often will at first, use a player that lets you adjust the playback speed.
Like 75% or something.
Exactly. Dropping it to 75% or 80% can make a world of difference. It just gives your brain that extra fraction of a second to process the sounds, the linking, the intonation, things you might miss at full speed.
Good tip. What else?
Second, if you have a transcript, use it actively. Don't just read along passively, edit it.
How? Like highlighting.
Yeah. Use highlighters, different colors, maybe bold text on your computer. Mark the words you think should be stressed. Maybe underline words that are often reduced or weakened, like prepositions or auxiliary verbs. Circle or link words that connect together.
Ah, so if the text says, "Did you eat yet?" No, you might mark it to remind yourself. It sounds like, "Did you eat yet?"
And precisely, you're making the script reflect the sound of spoken English, not just the written form. It guides your practice.
I like the analogy you used earlier, thinking of shadowing as a workout.
It really is. It's a workout for your mouth, your tongue, your vocal cords, and your brain speech centers. You're building muscle memory.
Like a pianist practicing scales.
Exactly the same principle. You practice the movements until they become automatic. So when you're in a real conversation, a stressful one maybe, your brain doesn't have to consciously figure out every single sound and connection. It just draws on that procedural memory you built during shadowing.
Making speaking feel more natural, almost like breathing.
That's the goal. Effortless flow.
Okay, we've got the what and the how. But why is this shadowing technique supposedly so much better than just, say, listening to lots of English or having basic conversations?
Well, the core idea is that real confidence, the kind that stops you from freezing, comes from training your brain to perform under pressure in real time. Studying vocabulary lists is great, but it doesn't simulate the act of speaking. Shadowing does.
And this is where that study comes in, the DNTU one.
Exactly. This is the hard evidence. It was a quasi-experimental study done with university freshmen in Vietnam who weren't English majors. That's important because it means they likely didn't have constant immersive English exposure outside of class.
Right. And what did the study involve?
It ran for 8 weeks. They had 2 groups. A control group got traditional English instruction, communicative activities, grammar, etc. The experimental group got similar instruction. BUT, they also integrated regular, structured shadowing practice into their routine.
Okay, 8 weeks. What happened?
The results were, well, pretty dramatic. The shadowing group showed a really substantial improvement in their overall speaking proficiency. Their average score went from 5.87 up to 7.83 on the assessment scale they used.
Wow, that's a big jump in just 8 weeks. What about the control group?
That's the crucial comparison. The control group, the ones with traditional teaching, also improved, but only marginally. They went from 6.02 to just 6.42.
Okay, so the shadowing group's gain was much, much larger.
Way larger. Almost 5 times more effective in boosting overall speaking scores in that time frame. It really highlights how powerful shadowing can be, especially for learners who aren't living in an English-speaking country. It's something you could do on your own.
That's compelling, but did they break down where those improvements came from? Like, was it pronunciation, grammar, fluency?
Yes, they did.
Yeah.
And this is where it directly addresses that freezing problem we talked about.
Okay.
The component that showed the biggest percentage gain was fluency. It jumped by 38.6%.
38%, that's huge.
It's massive. And the researchers directly linked this to the nature of shadowing that demand for real-time production. It forces you to maintain speech flow. It helps you internalize the natural rhythm of English, and critically, it builds automaticity.
Explain automaticity again in this context.
It means speaking without having to consciously think about forming the sentence or searching for the word. Your brain and mouth just do it. When they measured that 38% fluency gain, they were seeing things like,
That's pausing.
exactly, fewer long pauses, fewer hesitations, fewer filler words like and just to buy time. Less starting a sentence, stopping, and restarting. The brain wasn't getting stuck in that slow, conscious translation mode as often.
Okay, that makes perfect sense for overcoming the freeze. What about other areas? Pronunciation?
Pronunciation also showed a very significant gain, 31.03%, which shows shadowing is really effective there too.
And that's about individual sounds.
It's both. It helps with segmental features, which are the individual sounds, vowels, consonants, making it clear R or L, for example. But maybe even more importantly, it helps internalize suprasegmental features.
Right, you mentioned those earlier. That's the rhythm, stress, intonation,
Yeah,
the music of the language.
precisely. That's often what makes speech sound natural or foreign. It's not just about pronouncing each word perfectly in isolation. It's about how they flow together.
Hmm.
Shadowing forces you to mimic that flow, that melody.
Like learning that what are you going to do often sounds like what you going to do.
Exactly, that kind of connected speech. Mimicking that is key to reducing accent interference and making yourself easily understood.
It's really convincing data. But I wonder, did the study talk about practical challenges? Like getting students to actually do 10, 20 minutes of this every single day, that requires discipline. Did they mention dropout rates or adherence issues?
That's a fair question about real-world application. The published paper focused mostly on the results within that 8-week period. But the underlying theories of why it works actually suggest it might be more sustainable than other kinds of practice,
How so?
because it taps into some powerful learning mechanisms. The first is related to cognitive theory, specifically automatization, which we touched on.
Moving from conscious rules to automatic action.
Right. Think about learning to drive a car with a manual transmission, a stick shift.
Oh, yeah. Painful at first.
Totally. At first, it's all conscious effort. Okay, press the clutch, move the stick, ease off the clutch, add gas. You're thinking about every single step. Your cognitive load is massive. You can barely pay attention to the road.
Uh-huh.
But after weeks or months of practice, thousands of repetitions, what happens?
You just do it. You don't even think about shifting gears.
Exactly. It becomes procedural memory. It's automatic. Your conscious brain is freed up to focus on traffic, navigation, maybe even chatting. Shadowing aims to do the same for language production. Practice the output enough, and it becomes automatic, reducing the cognitive load during real conversation.
So you can focus on what you want to say, not how to say it.
Precisely. That driving analogy really captures it.
Okay, and there was a second theory.
Yes, sociocultural theory, particularly Vygotsky's idea of the zone of proximal development, or ZPD.
Okay, remind me what the ZPD is.
It's basically the gap between what you can currently do on your own and what you could potentially do with guidance or help from someone more skilled, a more capable model.
And how does shadowing fit in? Who's the model?
The audio recording the native or expert speaker is the more capable model. Shadowing provides a scaffold. You're attempting to produce language, the rhythm, the intonation, the complex sentences that might be just outside your current independent ability. The recording provides the necessary support, the structure, the form. By imitating it, you're practicing within that ZPD. You're actively working on skills that are slightly ahead of where you are now. And through that supported practice, those skills eventually become part of your own independent toolkit.
So you're kind of pulling yourself up to a higher level by mimicking the expert.
In a way, yes. You're simulating interaction with a more competent speaker, internalizing their patterns. It's like practicing tomorrow's skills today with a guide.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. We're essentially training our brains through guided simulation to handle real-time communication. So let's take this out of the theory and into the real world. How does this automaticity help in those anxiety-inducing situations?
Right, because the real test isn't getting a good score in a lab, it's ordering coffee without your heart pounding, right?
Exactly. It's about performing calmly when it counts. So, that confidence we build through shadowing, how do we apply it?
Let's start with a classic stressor, ordering food, especially in a noisy restaurant, maybe in a new city. Hashtag A. Confident food ordering, eliminating dining anxiety.
Oh yeah, that can be really nerve-wracking.
Totally. But the key shift in mindset here is focusing on clear conversational flow, not on reciting perfect complex sentences. It's meant to be a friendly exchange, not a grammar test.
And you mentioned servers actually prefer confident customers.
They really do.
Yeah.
Think about it from their perspective. Clear communication makes their job faster and easier. It's the mumbling, the pointing, the hesitation that slows things down and causes confusion. So your confidence actually helps them.
That's a good way to frame it. Take some pressure off.
It should. And the other helpful thing is that these interactions are usually pretty predictable. There's a pattern.
Like a roadmap.
Exactly. There's usually a greeting, maybe asking about the menu, placing the actual order, and then some follow-up questions about sides or how you want something cooked.
So knowing that structure helps you prepare.
Immensely. You can pre-practice or pre-shadow flexible phrases for each stage, which drastically cuts down the, what do I say now, panic when the server arrives.
Okay, let's walk through a kind of roadmap for this then. What are the steps?
All right, step 1, preparation. Even just 5 minutes before you go out. Visualize the scene. Rehearse maybe 3 simple phrases out loud. A table for 2, please. Could I see the drinks menu? I'll have the chicken. Just activating those pathways.
Okay, primes of the pump.
Yeah, exactly. Step 2, the greeting. When you arrive, or when the server comes over, speak clearly. Project your voice a little. Good evening, just a table for 1. Or, hi there, we're ready to order when you are. That initial clear sound sets a confident tone.
No mumbling allowed.
Definitely not. Step 3, menu questions. This is important. Don't pretend you understand everything. Fluent questioning is key here. Practice asking things like, what comes with the fish? Or, is the soup spicy? Or, could you tell me what's in that salad?
Okay, asking questions confidently is part of fluency too.
A big part. Step 4, placing the order. Again, clear and maybe slightly slower than your normal speech. And please, avoid just pointing at the menu and mumbling the dish name.
Guilty as charged sometimes.
We've all done it, but use a full phrase. Practice through shadowing. I think I'll have the pasta, please. Or, could I get steak? Medium rare?
Got it. What's next?
Step 5, handling follow-ups. Servers often ask quick questions. Soup or salad? Fries or baked potato? How'd you like that cooked? Learners panic here, so practice simple responses. The salad, please. Medium well. Could I substitute the fries for vegetables? Having those ready is key.
Preparation again.
Always. Step 6, engage a little. If it feels natural, a small comment. Everything looks delicious. Or warm thank you. Use those polite conversational bits you've shadowed. Builds rapport.
Okay. What if you genuinely don't understand something they say?
Step 7, navigating confusion calmly. Resist the urge to just nod. It causes problems later. Practice saying clearly and politely, sorry, could you say that again a bit slower? Or, I didn't quite catch that word. They'd much rather repeat than bring you the wrong thing.
Good point.
Step 8, asserting needs preferences. Don't just agree to everything to avoid talking. If you have an allergy or don't want something, practice saying it clearly. I have a nut allergy. Is this dish safe? Or, actually, could I have it without onions, please? Take ownership.
Right. And finally,
Step 9, positive close. Thank them clearly. And maybe take a mental note afterwards what phrases felt easy, which ones were tricky. Reinforce the good stuff for next time.
that's a great step-by-step. Now, what are the big mistakes people make that scream, I lack confidence?
Okay, number 1 is definitely speaking too quietly or rushing. Nerves make you speed up, but rushing kills clarity. Slow down deliberately. Use the pace you practiced and pause and repeat shadowing.
Okay. Slow and clear.
Second big mistake, apologizing for your English constantly. Sorry, my English is bad. Don't do it. It sets a negative tone. Focus on being understood, not on achieving perfection. Assume you have the right to communicate.
Assume competence. I like that.
And third, related to that, avoid those super rigid, memorized scripts. You know, the ones you learn from a textbook?
Yeah. Why?
Because if the server says something slightly different, asks an unexpected question, script breaks and you freeze. Shadowing teaches you flexible phrases and patterns, not just one fixed sentence. Practice 3 ways to order water, not just one. Have options. Hashtag, tag B. The power of simple introductions.
Okay, ordering food is one thing. What about introductions, especially in maybe a professional setting or meeting new people? That feels high stakes.
It really does. The sources we looked at call the introduction the doorway to connection, confidence, and growth. And again, the key isn't perfect, complex English. It's clear English.
And this is another place where shadowing helps because introductions are short, frequent, and need to be automatic.
Exactly. If you can nail your basic introduction smoothly without thinking, it gives you such a confidence boost right at the start of an interaction. It's your anchor.
So what's the structure for a simple, clear introduction?
We distilled it down to 4 key parts. Keep it simple, Focus on clarity.
Okay, part one.
Your name. Said clearly, maybe offer a pronunciation tip if it's often misheard. Hi, I'm Anna. It's pronounced Anna.
Simple enough. Part two.
Origin. Just your city or country is usually fine. I'm from Warsaw. Or I grew up in Seoul.
Free.
Job or study. Keep it brief and understandable. Avoid jargon. I work as a translator. I'm studying environmental science. If you want, add a tiny bit more context, focusing on water quality.
Got it. And the fourth part, you called it a hook.
Yeah, the curiosity hook. This is optional, but really effective. A small, genuine personal detail that invites a question or shows a bit of personality. It moves it beyond just facts. Could be anything simple.
Yeah.
I love languages. I'm really interested in sustainable design. I enjoy playing the guitar when I have time. Something that opens the door for the other person to connect.
I see. It gives them something to grab onto.
Exactly. And just as important, maybe even more so, nonverbal shadowing applies here too. When you practice your intro, don't just say the words. Practice the confident posture, the open body language, the friendly eye contact that should go with it.
The whole package.
The whole package needs to say, I'm present and confident.
Okay, so this simple structure works in practice. You mentioned examples.
Yeah, like Anna from Warsaw. She went to a big international conference, got overwhelmed, and her first attempt at an introduction was just a mumbled, I'm Anna, Poland. She felt awful.
Oh, dear.
So that night, she used this four-part structure. Practiced it. Hi, I'm Anna from Warsaw. I work as a translator, and I love learning about how languages evolve. Simple sentences. The next day, she used it. It wasn't flawless, but it was clear. And that last part, the curiosity hook about languages, immediately sparked a conversation with someone. They ended up talking for an hour. The preparation gave her the confidence.
That's a great story. Any others?
There was June, a software developer from Seoul. He used to freeze up at tech meetups. He practiced saying, I work in software development and I'm really interested in tech innovation, especially AI ethics. Just having that practiced automatic line ready made him feel in control when he went to a meetup in Singapore.
Gave him a starting point.
Exactly. And Amina, who moved from Cairo to London for work, she practiced, I'm Amina from Cairo. I just moved here for this job, and I'm really excited to be part of the team and explore the UK. Simple, honest, enthusiastic. Her team said it made her immediately feel approachable and included. Reduced her fear massively.
So practicing this simple introduction isn't just about introductions. It builds a core confidence.
Absolutely. Think about job interviews. What's often the first question?
Tell me a bit about yourself.
Right. If you've already practiced and basically proceduralized your core intro using this structure, you start the interview from a position of strength and control. It's your foundational shield against anxiety.
Okay, so shadowing helps us nail down the mechanics for ordering food, introducing ourselves, the more routine stuff. But fluency is more than just speed, right? It's about expressing real meaning, real feelings.
Absolutely. That's the next level. True fluency means you can convey nuance, subtlety, and yes, emotion. If you can only say basic facts, your communication is still limited, even if it's fast.
And this is where it gets tricky. Expressing complex feelings is hard, even in your native language sometimes.
It really is. One concept the sources highlighted is emotional granularity,
Meaning
moving beyond just saying good, bad, happy, sad. Okay, life is more nuanced. We need to practice using a wider range of words to describe precisely how we feel.
like the difference between feeling annoyed, frustrated, or furious.
Exactly. Or understanding that nostalgia isn't just happy or sad. It's that specific bittersweet mix, right? Shadowing dialogues where people talk about their feelings helps build this vocabulary.
And it's also about expressing vulnerability, which can be scary.
Very scary, but crucial for connection. The advice here is to practice using concrete, specific language. Avoid vague, overwhelming statements.
Like instead of, I'm a total mess.
Right, that doesn't really tell anyone anything useful. Practice being specific. I'm feeling a bit overwhelmed right now.
Okay, more precise.
And then follow up with the reason. This is key. Don't just say, I'm stressed. Practice saying, I'm feeling stressed because I have 3 deadlines this week. Or, I'm stressed about this presentation because I'm not sure I have all the data.
In context.
Yes.
Yeah.
It helps the listener understand and potentially offer support. There was a story about John in the materials.
Yeah.
He was on a really tough project, kept telling everyone, I'm fine, because he was scared of seeming weak. He bottled it all up until he basically burned out. Eventually, he practiced saying, actually, I'm really struggling with the workload on this part of the project. And guess what?
People helped.
They did. He found support, not judgment. But he had to find the words first and the courage to say them. Practicing how to articulate vulnerability clearly is a skill, and realizing you need trustworthy people to share it with.
That's huge. What about cultural differences in expressing emotion? That must complicate things.
Oh, massively. Cultural nuances are critical. Different cultures have very different, often unspoken rules about what emotions are okay to show and how.
Can you give an example?
Well, the sources mentioned how in some East Asian cultures, there's a very high value placed on group harmony, maintaining face. So expressing direct anger or strong disagreement might be avoided. Negative feelings might be shown much more subtly, indirectly.
Whereas in some Western contexts, polite disagreement might be expected, even valued.
Exactly. So if you're a learner shadowing, say, an American business meeting dialogue where people are quite direct, you need to be aware that using that exact same level of directness might not work well in a different cultural
So
context.
it's not just shadowing the words, but understanding the context they're used in.
Precisely. And language itself shapes how we perceive emotions.
Hmm.
Think of words like the German Schadenfreude, taking pleasure in someone else's misfortune. English needs a whole phrase to explain it.
Right.
Shadowing conversations that explore these unique emotional concepts in English can actually expand how you think about and label your own feelings.
And beyond words, what else do we need to pay attention to when shadowing emotional communication?
Body language, eye contact, tone of voice. Hugely important. You have
Yeah.
to shadow the whole communication package, especially with emotion. If someone in your shadowing audio sounds calm, but you notice in the video their shoulders are tense and they're avoiding eye contact, they might actually be conveying anxiety or disagreement nonverbally. You need to practice aligning your own nonverbals with the emotion you're trying to express. Using video for shadowing can be really helpful here.
Okay, so let's give listeners some tools. How can they practice managing difficult emotions in English when they feel overwhelmed or frustrated during a conversation?
Right, the practical toolkit. First is developing emotional agility. This means acknowledging the emotion, not trying to stuff it
Or
down.
holding a beach ball underwater?
Exactly. It just pops back up stronger. So practice the phrases to simply name it. Okay, I'm noticing I'm feeling quite frustrated right now.
Hmm.
Or I recognize this is making me anxious. Just acknowledging it takes away some of its power.
Okay. Name it to tame it, sort of.
Sort of, yeah. Second tool, reframing assumptions. We tend to personalize things. Your boss seems dismissive, you assume it's about you. But maybe they're just stressed about their own deadline. Practice pausing and asking yourself, is this definitely about me, or could there be other factors? Shadowing reflective dialogues helps build this habit.
Stepping back mentally.
Yes. Third, practice responding versus reacting. When you feel that rush of anger or panic, try to create a tiny buffer. Take a breath. Use practiced phrases to buy time. Let me think about that for a second. Or, I need a moment to process that. Or even, thanks for sharing that. I'll need to consider it and maybe we can talk later.
Create space for a deliberate choice.
Exactly. You choose your response instead of letting the emotion dictate an impulsive reaction. Mindfulness techniques help here, but having the English phrases ready is key.
Okay, what about resentment? That's a tricky one.
It is. Resentment often comes from unmet expectations we haven't communicated. So again, acknowledge the feeling first. I'm feeling resentful about this. Then, if it's appropriate and safe, practice assertive communication.
How does that sound in practice?
Using structured I feel X when you do Y because Z statements. Non-blaming, for instance. I feel stressed X when our meeting is postponed 5 minutes before it starts Y because it disrupts my schedule for the rest of the day Z.
Clear, specific, focuses on the impact.
Right. It addresses the issue directly but respectfully.
Yeah.
And like pronunciation or fluency, this kind of assertive communication is a skill that benefits enormously from practice, from shadowing examples of it being done well. Hashtag tag outro.
Wow, okay. We've covered a lot of ground there. From that initial feeling of your English disappearing, through the nuts and bolts of shadowing and the science behind it, all the way to using that fluency in really specific, sometimes emotionally charged situations.
Yeah, the main thread, the core message through all the research and practical advice seems really clear. Fluent, confident English isn't just about knowing stuff. It's about building that automaticity through consistent, deliberate practice like shadowing.
Right. It trains your brain, your mouth, everything to work together smoothly in real time.
Exactly. It shifts language from being this thing you have to consciously construct piece by piece into a skill that just flows. And that foundation is what gives you the confidence to handle ordering dinner, introducing yourself, or even talking about difficult feelings without freezing.
So let's remind the listener of the challenge, the takeaway action.
Okay. Find a short audio clip you find interesting. A bit of dialogue, maybe a piece of a talk, something from a show you like. Something with a speaker you find clear.
Just a short piece.
Yeah, maybe a minute or two. And shadow it every day. Just 10 minutes. That's it.
But the key is consistency.
Consistency is everything. 10 minutes daily is far better than 2 hours once a week. And when you do it, focus. Focus on the flow, the clarity, the rhythm, the sound of your own voice projecting confidently. Don't aim for perfection, aim for flow.
That daily workout for your speaking muscles.
That's it. That's what makes the difference. It's what turns you from someone learning English into someone who actively speaks English.
Okay, and before we wrap up, you mentioned a final thought, something provocative drawn from all this material.
Yeah, it's about mindset, really.
Mm.
The biggest shift needed for true fluency, based on everything we've looked at, isn't about grammar or vocabulary lists. It's realizing something fundamental.
Which is?
The goal isn't to wait until your English is perfect before you start speaking, before you start participating fully. That day might never come. Instead, the goal should be what some call communicative integrity.
Communicative integrity, what does that mean?
It means understanding that your ability to show up as your authentic self, to convey your thoughts, your intentions, your feelings, your found, is actually more important than having flawless grammar or zero accent. It's the realization that you belong in English. Your voice, even with an accent, even with occasional mistakes, has value and deserves to be heard. The confidence doesn't come after you achieve perfection. Confidence is the result of taking action, of practicing consistently, like with shadowing, and trusting that your message matters more than minor errors.
So don't wait for perfection. Start now. Start shadowing.
Exactly. Trust your voice.
Oh.
Take action today.